welcome to Katrina's Creations. It's Wednesday and I'm not doing either of the things I said I was going to be doing on Wednesday. My knit crate did not come in and I was going to dye yarn. I wanted to dye the yarn a ruby red color. Guess what color dye I do not have? I went to pull out I had everything laid out ready to go, or most of the stuff ready to go, and yeah, no red dye. I have yellow, green, and blue. I don't want the yarn to be any of those colors. I have plenty in that color. I really wanted it to be red. So instead, what are we doing on a Wednesday? I'm going to do a book review. Well, several book reviews because I've been doing a little reading. Actually, I listen to audiobooks while I knit or crochet. Not all the time, but a lot of the time I listen to books on CD. So anyway, what have I been listening to? The first one is the latest in the series by Betty Hechtman. Now, Betty Hechtman is an author who writes two different yarn-related series. She writes one which is strictly crochet, and they're called the Crochet Mysteries. And then she writes one that's called Yarn to Go, which is about yarn retreats that she holds at like a lodge type of place that is across the street from where she lives. And then she ends up solving mysteries while she goes. So this latest book is part of the Yarn to Go series, which is a mix of crochet and knitting. So the latest one is called But Not For Me. I just finished it last night and it was really good. I actually listened to it in 2 days. That's how good it was. This is one of my favorite authors. There's generally a pattern in the back of the book for either a knit or crochet pattern. And in this particular case, she had a group of people come to the retreat lodge. Like I said, it's across the street, and it's a retreat lodge where they have no Wi-Fi. So there's no modern like amenities. It's supposed to be all unplugged. Well, she has her group, which is 7 people, who are all trying to apparently take up knitting and crocheting to get away from their other addictions, like being tied to their phone too much or smoking and things like that. So they've all gone to this yarn retreat group. And in the middle of this health and wellness guru and his entourage show up. And of course, a couple people from the larger group end up dying. And it's suspicious, and some of that suspicion is getting thrown onto the little group of 7 crocheters and knitters. So the main character, her name's Casey Feldstein, she starts investigating to find out who is really behind all of the activities that are going on, and is the guy a real fake? So yeah, it was good. Like I said, I listened to it in 2 days, and so got that one. The next one I've got on my list to start listening to, and I'll probably start tonight, that is the latest Murder, She Wrote. Now, if you enjoyed the TV series, you will like the books. And there's, I think, like 54 different books. They've been writing them for years and years and years. The original man who used to write them was named Donald Bain, and he passed away a few years ago. So now they have different authors writing as Jessica Fletcher. There was one that I really didn't care for because it was just a little too far-fetched, but this current author that's writing for them is pretty good. And it is called Debonair in Death. And it is about, of course, taking place in Cabot Cove because, you know, nobody wants to live there because the murder rate's so high. But anyway, there is an art and treasure store owner, Nelson Penzel, who is not very nice, and he's grouchy. And he shows up dead, and the main suspect is Jessica's favorite nail tech at her salon, and her name is Corrine, and she's determined to clear her because she is the main suspect. And apparently this grouchy man was involved with a lot more than just being grouchy. So yeah, it should be an interesting read. I always like the Murder, She Wrote because they're a clean mystery, so I always enjoy them. So we have those two. And then I have a book, I'll hold it up here. This was given to me by a lady that I go to church with. It is based on true events, and yeah, let me read the back of this to you, the back of the book here, and then I'll explain a little bit about the history of what this is about Troublesome Creek. So it says, the folks of Troublesome Creek have to scrap for everything except books, that is, thanks to Roosevelt's Kentucky Pack Horse Library Project. And that is a true event that happened. Troublesome's got its own traveling librarian, and her name is Cussie Carter. Cussie's not only a book woman, she's also the last of her kind. Her skin has a shade of blue, unlike most anyone else. Not everyone is keen on Cussie's family or the government's new book program. Along with her treacherous route, she faces doubters at every turn. If Cussie wants to bring the joy of books to the complex and hardscrabble Kentuckians, she's going to have to confront dangers and prejudice as old as the Appalachians. And it says, inspired by the true blue-skinned people of Kentucky and the brave and dedicated Kentucky Pack Horse Library Service of the 1930s. So I looked this up because I was like, I've never heard of the blue people. So it turns out that back in 1820, there was a man named Martin Fugate, and he came to Kentucky, and he was a French orphan who knew nothing about his lineage at all, nothing about his family history, and he married a lady named Elizabeth Smith. Elizabeth Smith was red-haired. She was already living in Kentucky, and she was so fair and so white complected that you could literally see through her skin, almost like translucent. So, but between them, they both carried a recessive gene, which is extremely rare, which is an extremely rare gene. But when those two rare genes get together, they can produce a child with a blue colored, who looks blue, like Smurf type of blue. Of their 7 children, 4 of them were born with this blue coloring. Now, it's not the skin that turns blue. It is the blood itself. It's due to a lack of oxygen in the blood. The blood doesn't it doesn't hold on or grab onto oxygen. So as a result, their blood itself is very dark blue, and any of the veins that are like just below the surface, that blue shows up. So if you look at them, they look different shades of blue. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Having been a nurse, I had never heard of this. But the interesting thing was when I had a visiting nurse coming in, I was telling her about this book, and she said, you know, when I was in nursing, I had heard about the blue people. But she says, we actually had a lady come in one day when she was working in the hospital, and she had blue tinged skin, and they were all afraid she was suffering from a lack of oxygen, and they were trying to get her to sit down and offering an oxygen mask and everything. And it turns out that she apparently carried this recessive gene, because she told him, she says, no, I'm fine. This is the color that I am. So it is now treatable. In 1962, they did find that you can give, these people can take a pill, and it does kind of reverse the process, and their blood turns a normal red color, and then their skin turns kind of a pink color. But you know, it wasn't treated for many years, and a lot of these people were ostracized, or, you know, that people were afraid of them, and so they kept retreating further and further into the rural areas of Kentucky. And of course, the further they retreated, the less marriageable people there were, and so they were intermarrying, which compounded the genetic, the problem with the genes, because they were too closely related. So yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I'm looking forward to reading this. She did say it was kind of sad at one point, so yeah, I'll get my Kleenex ready, but I thought it sounded like a really interesting book. So yeah, I'll have to let you know once I get it read. But I thought that it was because it's based on a true story. I thought that was kind of interesting. So I will put links to the books that I've talked about down below in the description box if you want to check them out for yourself. So that's going to be it. It's a little off the wall for a Wednesday. Nothing knit or crochet related, although the one book is knit and crochet related. So yeah, that's it for this week, and I will see you again on Saturday. Bye, everybody. Oh, and I have some finished objects for Saturday, so make sure you check it out. Bye, everybody.